Welcome to Learn Commerce PU online classes. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Welcome to 2nd PU Computer Science online classes. Why? Because in last class we already learned some important concept, that is about our some conceptual level, external level as well as the internal level, data abstraction, and also why spreadsheet is not a database. And in today's class we are going to learn the new concept, that is data independence. Now what about the data independence? So data independence is an ability of a database to modify means to make some changes in database or making changes in the database, to modify the schema definition at one level without affecting the schema in the next higher level. Meaning, maybe you are going to make some changes in between internal and conceptual, no any effect to the external, or maybe any changes in between conceptual and external, no effect to the internal. So this is the meaning whatever I said here. The meaning is an ability of a database to modify schema definition at one level without affecting schema in the next higher level. That means the ability to change conceptual schema and conceptual schema without affecting external schema. That means changes in between internal and conceptual, but no any effect to the external or the application programs. Or the data independence occurs because when schema is changed at one level, clear this point here, the schema at next level remain unchanged. Correct? No? Why? Because just only changes in between these two, no effect to the external. Changes in between these two, no effect to the internal. So when it going to occurs here, that means data independence occurs when schema is changed at one level, the schema in the next level or schema at next level remains unchanged, and only the mapping between two level is changed is called as the data independence. Clear this point here? Why? Because it is the ability is just only changes in between these two, no effect to the external, and changes in between these, no effect to the internal, is called as the data independence. So two type of data independence are. So two types, one is called as the physical data independence and second type is called as the logical data independence. The physical data independence means some work going to happen or some changes in between internal and conceptual, that is called as the physical data independence here. And later next one, some changes going to occur in between conceptual and external, that is called as the logical data independence here. And why? Because we are in concept of database, and we know that the database means first of all we need to enter the data here. So the actual data to be stored in the database, and we are going to store the data into the database in format like our bit format. Correct here? So the full form of the bit is the binary digit here, and the values of the bit are 0 and 1. Why? Because we know that the computer understand the values, the bit format, that is the 0 and 1 here. So we're using some of the storage media or some of the storage media, namely hard disk, to store any database, to store any data into the database here, or whatever the data we store in the database. In case you want to store in computer, that means sure we are using some of the storage media. So some of the storage media are hard disk. That means by using hard disk, all the files to be stored, or all the files are going to store by using the hard disk. Not only the hard disk, some other devices are here, maybe the magnetic tape, magnetic disk here, as well as the SD. Clear this point here? The full form of the SD is the synchronous dynamic here, synchronous dynamic. So why? Because now we are going to store data into the computer. That means we are creating the file here. By using the file, we are storing data into the computer. So there are three commonly used file organization used in DBMS, or maybe called as the DBMS here. Data processing application are, the first one is the sequential file organization, direct access file organization, ISA. So full form of the ISA, indexed sequential access method. And we know that these are three important file organization. With that, in this concept, I want to explain one more file organization, that is serial file organization. So what about the serial file organization and how we are going to arrange the data in serial file organization? So with the serial file organization, records are arranged one after the another, but in no particular order. Now what about in no particular order? Why? Because we know that file is using to store the records, to store the database. Database means sure by using record we are going to arrange the information. So here we can say that the records are arranged one after another, but in no particular order. Particular order means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that we are going to arrange, but here in no particular order. Other than in no particular means maybe the first record, if you get first, then it going to add, maybe the fourth record next time, that means the fourth record is going to add here, or maybe sixth record. So like that, maybe 1, 4, 6 here we don't want, that means it not going to arrange in one by one here. How the record will come, it going to arrange the record in that manner only. So we can say that other than chronological order in which the records are added to the file here, how the records will come, it going to accept the record in that manner only here. So with this serial file organization commonly found in transaction data. Clear? So whatever the transaction, that means we know that how the transaction will come, we are going to accept the transaction here. So such we can say that means our serial file organization commonly found in transaction data here, and where records are created in the file in the order in which the transaction take place. Clear this point here? How the transaction will come, it going to accept the transaction in the same manner here. Maybe the first transaction, maybe the third transaction, maybe the sixth transaction here, and after that second transaction. So like that, maybe in whatever the transaction will get, maybe the second transaction will come first, means it going to accept the second, maybe the fourth transaction 1, 6. So like that, how the transaction will come, like that it going to accept the record one after the another and going to store into the or in the file here. Now let's some of the advantage or the disadvantage we can say that. So in case of the serial file organization, provide the advantages like the fast access to the next record in sequence. Maybe after accessing the record number 2, that means in case you want to access the next record, maybe the record number 4, very quickly you can access this record one after the another. So fast access to the next record in sequence here. and later the second advantage we can say that means while going to store all those information economically, storage media going to use here. That means maybe all those data we are going to store by using some of the economical storage media, that is magnetic disk, magnetic tape, any kind of the storage device we are going to use here. And the third advantage we can say that easy to do backup facility. Clear this point here? So very easily we can get all those backup file facility also by using our serial file organization. But the last disadvantage, why? Because we know that not just only the advantage, every concept here have some of the disadvantage also. So the disadvantage of the serial file organization, we can say that updating, whatever the update you are going to add into the file here, so the updation is very slow in this type of the organization. So this is about our serial file organization. Clear this point here? So we can say that the serial file organization meaning here, the meaning of the serial file organization, we are going to arrange the record but not in particular order here. That means how the record will come or where the records are going to add into the file here, how the transaction take place. It depends on the transaction, how the transaction will come. It going to arrange the record one after the another, and we already completed some advantage as well as the disadvantage of the serial file organization. And the second file organization, that is sequential file organization. So what about the sequential file organization? We know that why? Because the records are stored here one after another. Here also we using to store the record here. So the records are stored one after the another, maybe in order, maybe in an ascending order or descending order. You know the meaning of ascending: 1 2 3 4 5 here, or maybe 5 4 3 2 1. Maybe by selecting any one order, it going to arrange the records one after the another. But also we can say that such a record is going to arrange it determined or calculated by the key field of the record here. So what about the key field of the record? Shall we take one example? The one example is I want to tell why, because the meaning of the key field of the record here. So one example, payroll file. Okay, here the one example is the payroll file here. So while going to create the payroll file records here, the records are arranged in the order. The order is in the form of the employee ID here. So depend on the employee ID. So how the ID that is given to the employee in this based or in this manner, they are going to arrange the records. Clear this point in case of the payroll file here. And maybe you are going to take one example. The example is the student here. That means the student file going to arrange the record in the manner of the register number. Clear this point here? So that means in this table we are going to take one column as the key field of the record. So here also records are going to arrange one after the another, but it determined by the key field of the record. I think everyone know any problem to everyone to know about our key field. What's the meaning of the key field here? The meaning means it giving importance, or the files or the records are going to arrange in the form of the employee ID. If you are selecting the example is the payroll file. So sequentially organized files that are processed by the computer system. That means we know that while going to store, if you are going to use any computer here, the computer sure going to process all those records one after the another here. So sequentially organized files that are processed by the computer system, and after processing of the record are normally stored by using some of the storage media or medium or devices such as the magnetic disk, magnetic tape as well as the punched card going to use after processing of record of the file here. Some of the storage device going to use in our sequential file organization. Now we already completed how it going to give importance to which field here, that means key field of the record. We already taken one example, that is the payroll file also here, and I already said it is whatever the record is there, such one going to processed by our computer system, and after processing of the record that is going to store by using some of the media, maybe the punched card, each and everything. Now I want to access the record, that means I already arranged the record 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to access the record number 4. Is it possible by using sequential file organization? So we can say that no, it's not possible to access any particular record by using the file organization, that is the sequential file organization. So to access this record, the computer must read the file in sequence, that is from the beginning. Clear this point here? Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 record is that, total 5 records is that. It's not possible to access the record number 4 here. Maybe in case you want to access the record, means the computer must read the record, all those record in sequence manner, one after the another here. Clear this point? One after the another in case of our sequential file organization, that is from the beginning. So the first record is read and processed first, okay here, and then the second record is in file sequence going to process, and later words here after the processing it going to process here, and later words it going to process one after the another. How many records we enter into the file, it going to read the record here and process the record one after the another here. So simple. Finally we can say that here to locate a particular record, the computer program must read each record in the sequence. Maybe if in case you want the record number 4 means we need to read, that is from the beginning, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, later words will get the record number 4 here. So we can say that to locate a particular record, the computer program must read each record in sequence manner here. Clear this point here? And later words compare with its key field. Clear this point here? Compare to which record you want here. It going to compare with this record here to the number that is needed. So that means in our sequential file organization, the half of the file has to be searched. Correct? No? Why? Because here it not possible to get any particular record by using sequential file organization. That here we need to go, or we need to read, that is from the beginning. The computer read, that is from the beginning only here. So half of the file we has to be searched here just to get to desired record. Correct? No? Whatever the record you want here, the desired record here. So from our sequential file organization. And so now we know that some of the important concept in our sequential file organization. Now shall we go for our next thing, that is our direct file organization. So the direct access file organization, also called as the random, okay, the direct access file organization. So what's the method we can use in our direct access file organization? So we can say that the direct access file organization allows immediate access to the individual record on the file. So we can say that in our sequential file organization, maybe you want any record, you need to read, that is from the beginning. Correct here? But in case of the direct access file organization, allow immediate direct access to individual record on the file. Maybe you want record number 4, you can access such a record by using method, file organization method like direct access file organization. And here we can say that the records are stored and retrieved. What's the meaning of the retrieving or retrieved? That means accessing of the records here. What's the record you want here? To consume the record, to retrieve the record, to get the record here. So the record are stored as well as retrieved using a relative record number. Why? Because every record has some of the number here. By using the record number we can get the record, we can store the record, correct no here? We can, and which give the position of the record in the file here. Why? Because for every record have some of the number, depend on the number here we are going to access the record, we are going to store the record here. So clear this point? That means here we can say that in our direct access file organization the records are stored as well as retrieved using relative record number and which give the position of the record in the file here in case of the direct access file organization here. And this type of organization also allow the file to access sequentially, not just by using direct access we going just to access a particular record. It also possible to access the record one after the another. That is what's the rule we applying to our sequential file organization. The same rule we can apply to our direct access file organization also here. And we can say that now what about the storage device, and where it possible to store all those file here, whatever the file we created by using the direct access file organization. So we can say that the primary storage in CPU truly provide for direct access by using the hard disk, by using the computer, by using the primary storage of the computer we can store the data of the file here, we can store the file here by using. So we can say the primary storage in CPU truly provide the direct access file organization. But nowadays there are some other outside the CPU devices, some other outside the devices also provide the direct access feature also here. Okay, it also contains. So what's the feature of the direct access file organization? So the direct access file organization have the capability of directly reaching any location. So this is the most important capacity or capability of the direct access file organization. That means it possible to reach to any location. Okay, kya? So this is the most important feature of the direct access file organization here. And later words about the advantage. So the accessing of the records, the retrieval of the records by using direct access file organization is very quick and direct here. And the disadvantage we can say that maybe less efficient in the use of storage space. That means we can't get more number of storage space to store all those files here. So why? Because whatever is there, we know that the primary storage it containing a less number of the capacity here. We can't store large amount of information, large number of the files here. So this is the main disadvantage of the direct access file organization. Why? Because I already said whatever the file we created, such a file going to store by using primary storage here. Primary storage of the computer truly provide for direct access here. So we can say that this is only the disadvantage. That means it provides a less number of or less storage space here, or maybe less efficient storage space going to use in our direct access file organization. Clear this point here? So then the sequential organized files here. So this is about some information about our direct access file organization. And later next one is about our ISAM. So what about the ISAM? So here we can say that we know the full form of the ISAM, indexed sequential access method. So such indexed sequential access method is the hybrid. Okay, what's the meaning of the hybrid? The meaning of hybrid is the combination of sequential file organization as well as the direct access file organization. So is the hybrid between sequential and direct access file organization. So what's the method we are using in sequential or any method, or what's the method we are using in direct access file organization? We can use both method in our ISAM. That means in case you want to access any file from the beginning, you can access, or maybe you want any particular record, okay, from the file you can access. So both method you can use in our ISAM. So the record within the file are stored by using sequential method here. Whatever the record we are going to store here in our ISAM here, so such a record going to store, or the record within the file are stored by using the method like our sequential method here. But direct access to individual record is possible just through by using index. Clear this point here? Index means the record number here, and that means whatever the file we are going to store, such a file storing by using the method like our sequential method. But in case you want to access any record, that means the direct access to individual record, any particular record is possible through by using the index. And such indexing permits, okay, kya the indexing permits to access the selected records without searching the entire file. Why? Because we don't want, or we can say that no any searching of the entire file, it possible to get the desired output, the desired record here. So whatever the record you want here, we don't want to search the entire file by using the method like our ISAM. Why? Because ISAM is the hybrid. It is the combination of a sequential as well as the direct access file organization. So what's the method we are using in our sequential and the method in our direct access file organization? Both method we can use by using our ISAM indexed sequential access method. Now some of the advantages. So we can say that the advantages here. So in case of the advantages, the ISAM permits the efficient and economical processing of the records, or the sequential processing of the record when activity ratio is high. Why? Because when the computer capacity is very high, then it possible to that means we can go from beginning record from one after the another here. But when we are using the sequential processing method here, when the computer having many capacity, that means when computer having good capacity, or the computer have the capacity in this case here. So we can say that when we are going to use the efficient and economical method of sequential processing of the records here, when our processing, that means the processing of the record is possible when computer activity is very, or the ratio of the computer is very high, the capacity of the computer is very high here. But ISAM also permits the direct access to individual records here, or in a relatively efficient manner here. That means when the computer capacity is very low, or when the activity ratio is very low, the computer activity ratio is very low in this case here. So this is the advantage, and the advantage about our ISAM. That means we are using the sequential processing of the records when computer activity ratio is high, and also ISAM permitting, that means here the processing of the individual records when computer processing ratio activity is very low here. And some of the disadvantages. So what about the disadvantages in this case here? So we know that the file must be stored in the storage medium in this case here. That means whatever the file, what's the file we are going to store here, such a file going to store by using what's the method we are using in direct access file organization. And in direct access file organization, how we are going to store the file? We know that by using primary storage. That means ISAM also going to store the file by using the primary storage. So the file must be stored by using the direct access storage device. That means the direct access storage device, that is called as the primary storage of the computer here. So So because of this reason, the expensive or relatively expensive hardware and software are needed. So this is the first disadvantage of the ISAM. That means here we can say that here we are going to store the file, that is by using the direct access file organization. So because of this reason, why? Because here the file going to store by using the primary storage of the computer here, and expensive or relatively expensive hardware and software we need to use here. And the second thing, the accessing to record may be slower than direct file here. Maybe in case you want to access any record, it going very slowly, it moving very slowly to access the record one after the another. So this is the second disadvantage of the ISAM. And the last disadvantage we can say that here, less efficient number of the storage space. That means we can't store large amount of information, we can't store large file by using our ISAM. That is the less efficient in the use of storage space than some other alternatives. So this is about the some concept, or we are explained here some of the important concept, that is the file organization. In file organization, serial file organization, sequential file organization, direct access file organization, and lastly ISAM. Full form of the ISAM, indexed sequential access method. And we completed meaning, advantage as well as the disadvantage of the ISAM. Thank you.